He was a crooked, no good official. So I says, listen to me. You see these two hands? You'd have to cut them both off for me to quit driving that way. They gunned for me. Robert Black gunned for me all the time. Well, my wife was a little bit smarter than most. She hired a video photographer. Not many people knew this. It all dates back to Gayro. Gayro on the radio, complaining, this Spencer is knocking the hell out of everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Frank Cece says, comes home, he says, his wife says, Frank, what is wrong with Jimmy? He's knocking the hell out of everybody. Frank says, God dang, there ain't no damage on our car or nothing. We finished third, wherever it was. What are they talking? Well, you ought to hear Mark Gayro. She says, tape it. He says, tape it. So we taped it. Pat had people taping me. We go to Hickory, North Carolina. Jack Ingram's leading the race. Dale Jarrett second, Jimmy Spencer's third. Jack Ingram breaks the motor. Needless to say, Jack and I are good friends now. Because Jack come to me the following week. And he says, you know what, bud? You're a hell of a race car driver. I respect you. And I really respect how you handled that last week. As Jack, I mean, he says, I know you do. And he says, it was my mistake doing what I did. But you need to calm down. You need to, and I got to drive for Jack Ingram. Jack passed away. Jack was a hell of a racer. Hell of a racer, man. That's what I loved, was the true grit racers. So Jack's going to win Hickory. School, number 11, Monte Carlo, going to win the race. 25 laps to go, his motor breaks. Jarrett's leading in the, what do you call car? Now, Jarrett is a no-good mirror driving, holding me up every which way loose. Dale and I were friends, but he was trying to win the race. I'm like, man, you son of a bitch, what are you doing, man? Cutting off and everything else. And I forget that we're taping the race. Well, needless to say, I said, I got his ass. Hickory has a big back straightaway, right? Up turn 2. Finally, I got underneath him, and Rick, he has me down on the inside. Steve, I can't get no lower. There's 3,000 feet to the right of us. He's, right? And I said, if I slam my brakes on real quick, he'll spin the fuck out. I jam my brakes on. Listen, you can't beat a good old short track racer. They know their shit. Bam. And he goes, whoa. I never spun him out. He spun himself out. Well, now the fans, they're like, hey, you son of a bitch, blah, blah, blah. Robert Black, that crooked bastard. One thing leads to another, and I pull into the winner's circle, and they proceed to tell me to sit in the car, Buster and everything else, and Ned Jarrett comes over to the car. He hollers at me, you dirty, no good SOB driver, all blah, blah, blah. He says, Ned, your boy spun himself out. I did not spin him out. Oh, and he said a couple of choice words.
Ned Jarrett did.
I respect Ned. Wow. Ned Jarrett.
Yeah.
But he's pretty upset. Don't blame him because he thought I spun his son out. Unfortunately for all of them, and fortunately for Jimmy, I had a tape. Now, that Saturday, they go up. Monday comes, they go to Richmond the next day. I get a phone call on Monday. What happened at Hickory? Blah blah blah. I said,
Didn't he bump you in Victory Lane or something?
Oh hell yeah! So I start my car back up, and I said to Buster. Buster said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to teach you some bitch how to hit somebody." Buster goes, I love old Buster on. He goes, oh, come on, Spencer, please. And I said, no, I'm going to teach him. He says, no, here comes a guy with a 2x4. Oh, yeah. I said, oh, this is bad. And I didn't do nothing wrong. I did not spin him out. Okay. They are going to escort me out of the thing, and Robert goes, I'm going to talk to you look, we're going to try to get you out of here without getting killed and all this kind of crap. And I said, Robert, I'm not afraid. He said, well, then I found out, Dale never wanted Hickory in a Busch car. So, it hurts. So after all the emotions is over, Monday morning he calls me up and tells me at the shop what's going to happen. And I said, really? And I said, I got something you need to see. What do you mean you got something we need to see?
This is Robert.
Yeah. Okay. I said, I got a tape of the race. What? I said, Robert, ever since Langley, when you fucked me, I have a tape of every race that I've been in. Every race. Only the 34 car. Well, I want to see it. So I said to my wife, she says, let me make another tape. So we make another VCR. This is old technology, man. We didn't have cell phones back then like that. Old VCR tape. So I make another one. So we go to a video store up here in Hickory somewhere. They tell me where to meet. And I said, I got it situated with 20 laps to go in the race. That's when this started happening. 20 whatever. Plug it in. Buster, Robert, and me. We're watching it. I said, Jack, Jack broke. Jack broke, no caution. And I says, if you see, I'm way faster than that 32 car. I said, it's coming pretty close now, guys. And all at once, they see where I says, you need to pause that if you can. So they pause it. I says, look at the racetrack. Look where he's got me. They back it up. They look. Whew. I'm 30 feet, 40. Jarrett's got me, right? Now he says, if you watch quick, I says, you'll see my car stop. Try to stop. And it does. So Robert says, wow, this changes the whole scenario. He says, can I have that tape? I says, no. I says, it's the only one I got. It's the only one I got, Robert. He says, well, that's fine. He says, I got to take it and send it to NASCAR. Man, I says, no. I said, let me make another. No, he says, you're all right. I'll never forget it as long as I live. He goes, no, he says, it's fine. I said, let's make one here. No, he says, we'll be okay. So I'm like, boy, you must think I'm stupid. But you know what? Okay. I'll see you at Darlington on Thursday. Thursday comes to Darlington. They call me to the hauler. Les Richter, Dick Beattie, Dale Jarrett, and Robert Black. I stroll my ass in there. Beattie says, Mr. Spencer, why do you do what you do? I says, I try to win races. And I try to do the best I can every given lap on the racetrack. You just can't spin people out. I said, what, Mr. Beattie? You just can't spin people out. I said, really? Les says, Jimmy, he says, we got to do something. I said, yeah, I think we do too. I said, did you happen to see the tape of the race last Saturday night? And I'm looking at Robert. And he goes, what tape?
Oh, that's Robert.
I says, oh, Mr. Richter. Dick, Mr. Beattie, you didn't see the tape. What tape? He said, this one right here. And Robert is like, what just happened?